Okay, we're back on the sound. I've got sound and I'll just wait. Blessed be everyone. I'm just waiting for people to come back on the live. I had some sound issues on my part one of this stream. So this is part two of the stream. Welcome to those of you who are watching the replay. I shall wait for people to come on and know that this is happening. And yes, welcome everybody. Welcome to those of you watching the replay. If you're totally new, haven't seen part one yet, part one is why your spiritual journey feels stalled. This is why your spiritual journey feels stalled, part two. And we're talking about how to fix it when you are feeling stalled in your journey. Just a quick recap if you don't know me, my name is Sandra. I've been on the witchcraft path now for over 35 years. I help other witches who are feeling blocked in their path or I just don't know where to start, how to integrate magic and connection into their lives on a daily basis. And I've certainly experienced my own experiences of the stall and feeling sometimes like things just aren't moving. And I want to let you know that that is completely normal and we all go through it from time to time and will continue to go through it from time to time. Welcome, James. Hello again. Hope you can hear me this time. I am actually getting some green lights that I can be heard. So I'm just waiting for other people to come on. Hi, Brandy. How are you? And hi, Joy. How are you? So we're back again. I think we left off the other live stream at point number 2, talking about intuition. So if you haven't seen the first part, go to part 1 of the live stream. This is part 2. Hi, Barbara. How are you? Awesome. Hello again. So we're talking about intuition. I'll just go on a little bit more about intuition as we wait for more people to come on the live. Your intuition is something that as a witch you do need to really tune into and learn to work with. Your intuition will be often something you will find in your heart chakra. It will be your heart's guidance. Some people say it's your gut instinct too, and it can be a feeling in the gut. But the thing with the gut is although it does have the connection to the brain, the brain gut connection, the gut can sometimes react to fear, and sometimes you might not be getting necessarily the right response. It may be a fear response that you're actually getting, and it may not necessarily be the intuition coming through. So the heart is often the best place to really feel into the intuition. Your gut is part of your solar plexus, which is your power center. So it is there to guide you into stepping into your power and letting you know when you're not stepping into your power. So sometimes you may feel energy in your gut or unpleasant feelings in your gut when you're not stepping into your power. Or when you go to step into your power, you may feel the fear in the gut because it's saying it's not safe for you to step into your power. But your intuition is really mostly coming from the heart chakra. Okay, hi Chrissy, hi J Dog. I knew it would work. Okay, so let's go on to number 3. Question number 3 is what fears are holding you back? Because fear is generally the main thing that's stopping us from doing anything. It's one of the main reasons we feel anxiety, feel depression, feel negative in any way. It's the fear, and fear is a part of our natural biology. It's part of our ego. It's there to keep us safe for sure, and we need fear in order to keep us safe. Otherwise, we would do really crazy things like walk in front of moving trucks and things like that, which would not be a very good thing if we're wanting to stay alive. So we need fear. But the problem is that fear has been used against us by the powers that be, those in charge of major institutions, corporations, governments, whatever. And we've been taught to fear everything, basically. Religions, particularly, have taught us about fear and what to fear, the fear of God, that kind of thing. And so fear has become bigger than Ben Hur, like bigger than it should be. And I don't know who coined this term, whether it was Wayne Dyer or not. Fear stands for false evidence appearing real. A lot of the time it does. And a lot of the time, what we're fearing is actually not real or really necessary to fear. We may be fearing we're not good enough. We may be fearing what other people might say if we do something. We may fear that we're not lovable. We may fear losing our identity, which is something you will come across if you're doing identity shifting or any of the inner shadow work on yourself. There's going to come a point where you're going to face the fear of losing your old self, losing the identity you've had your whole life. And it can be very, very scary because we don't want to let that go because that old identity kept us safe as children, but it's causing problems for us now. And the true identity, the you know yourself to be, the potential you know deep down inside you have is actually the real you. But this old version of you that does hide, perhaps, or does hold yourself back in many ways, is stopping you from really stepping into that other version. But it's also going to make you afraid of stepping into that other version of you. So it's really important to know what you're afraid of. And it could be really, really simple things that you're afraid of, but they feel real and they're going to hold you back. So, fear of judgment, the fear of failure, fear of success, the fear of doing it wrong. All of these fears can create walls on your path in life in general, and also when it comes to your magical path. You could be afraid of doing it wrong. You could be afraid of invoking something like a spirit or something for what the you might bring in other spirits or something. There can be lots of fears around these things. So look at what it is that you're afraid of and how that fear may be holding you back. And ask yourself, what would you do if this fear didn't exist? Like if it wasn't there, what would you actually be doing? If you weren't afraid of failing something, what would you do? What would you be doing? If you weren't afraid of what other people might think, what would you be doing? And there's also fear for ancestral connection as well, because there's thought forms and energy associated with family groups too. And often changing yourself or stepping more into what it is that you're wanting can rub up against things or norms in your family or norms within your ancestral uh, makeup as well. So often you've got to go and deal with a lot of the ancestral blockages as well in order to be able to move forward with things. The practice of witchcraft, for example, can be riddled with a lot of past life fear from maybe when you've practiced in the past and you've been persecuted for doing it. So that's something where you're working on past stuff. So it may feel like kind of unusual. Like you've got this fear, but when you look back into this current life, you can't really see where that fear is coming from. It could be coming from a past life. So, past life blocks and ancestral blocks can also cause a stall in your practice too. So, it's just being aware of what those beliefs are and what the fears are that are in your way. So, coming back to the comments again. The difference between fantasy and reality is perception. Yes, absolutely. What we perceive is really up to what we believe. So we tend to perceive what we believe, and we limit our perception because we're limiting in our belief system. Chrissy says, "I'm terrified of bringing evil spirits into my home." And that's a common fear, and it's quite a valid one, depending on what you're doing. A lot of people like to play with Ouija boards when they don't really know what they're doing, and often when they do that, they do bring in other spirits or spirits that are a bit more unruly or not particularly nice into their proximity, and then they've got to go and find a way of getting rid of them. So it's a very bona fide fear of, bringing any evil spirits into the house. But there's ways that you can protect yourself from doing that. And when you're feeling very, very confident within yourself and you know that you're the creator of your own world, even if a spirit did come into your proximity, you know that you have the ability to tell it basically to F off. And be very, very strong in that, and often that's enough for them to go. It's letting spirits know that you don't put up with any nonsense, and not thinking that humans are below spirits. We're not, particularly the lower astral ones that tend to be the more unruly ones. You're definitely not below them at all, so never act as if you are. Um, I stole that line from Cowboy Bebop. Bebop, Bebop. Okay. So, number 4, am I avoiding inner work? Good question. Shadow work, energy clearing, daily reflection, journaling can be uncomfortable, but it's essential to move forward. So if you are feeling any of those unpleasant feelings, uh, someone mentioned earlier in the other live stream about depression, if you're feeling those things, explore where that feeling of sadness, hopeless, helplessness is coming from. What are you telling yourself? What is it? If it's not something that's physical, so I mean, diet can influence our moods as well. So that's something to look at as well. Nutrition is important for our mental health too. So sometimes the way we feel can actually also be the result of our diet too. So that's always something to look at. But if it's not that, it's usually to do with the way that we're perceiving things and what we're telling ourselves. So the inner work, which is the shadow work, the energy clearing, the inner daily the reflections of what it is that we're thinking, what we believe, what we're telling ourselves, are all part of our magical path. You can't go along a magical path and really achieve the results in your life you want without doing that inner work, without figuring out what the blocks are in the way. It's not about beating yourself up. It's not about judging yourself. It's about just going in, seeing what's there, and changing what you don't like, essentially. It's just a cleanup job. It's like you're cleaning out your wardrobe or you're cleaning out the kitchen. There's things there that you don't want, that aren't helpful anymore. You've got to chuck them or upgrade them. That's all it is. There's nothing judgmental about it. There's nothing critical about it. It's just getting in there and cleaning things up so that you can have a better life. And it's really just about that, having a better life. Okay. A friend and I used to use a Ouija board when we were 10. Yes. A lot of kids use them. I think they're even put in with the games, so they're sort of seen as a game, but, they're not a game at all, really. I do know people who've had some really negative experiences from using them. So the inner work, the shadow work, is just getting to know you. And there's ways that once you know what it is that you're thinking, what it is that you're feeling, you just ask yourself, is this helping me? Is this belief that I have about my lovability or lack thereof, is that helping me in my life? Is feeling unlovable, feeling not good enough, is that really helping me in my life? And even though it feels real, and it can feel like there's just no way out, like you're beating up against a brick wall. Maybe you've tried affirmations, maybe you've tried various different self-help stuff and it hasn't worked yet. There are other ways to do it, and that belief's coming from your subconscious mind. So it's a way of finding a modality such as hypnotherapy, NLP, or EFT that works with the subconscious mind and that can reprogram the subconscious mind so that you no longer have that belief, I'm not good enough, because it's not a helpful belief to have. It may have helped you in the past. It may have helped you stay maybe hidden in the past when it maybe was safer to be hidden in your life. But now it's probably not helping you at all, and it's time to get rid of it. It's time to clean it out and change it for the belief that you are good enough, for example, or you are lovable enough. If you're struggling in your magic in any way, you might be stalled in your magic. So it may not be so much the spiritual side, it's just your magic's not working anymore. Maybe you've been doing a lot of magic for the same thing over and over and over again, and it just doesn't seem to be pushing ahead. You're just still in the same spot that you were. You're in a bit of a rut. It can make you doubt your magic. It can make you think, I'm not good at magic anymore. I can't call myself a witch. I can't get the money I need to get. I can't, get the love I want. And it's not that at all. What it is that there's some belief that you've got around love or around money that's actually stopping you from being able to have what it is that you want. So it's a matter of doing the shadow work, diving in and finding out what it is that's actually keeping you stuck and blocked. And there can be a lot of beliefs that are keeping you blocked in love. There's a lot of beliefs that can keep you blocked in money. Even in health, there's beliefs that can be blocking your health as well. And sometimes health can actually be the result of beliefs that you have about yourself in regards to other aspects of your life as well. It can start affecting your health because your body starts to react to all of the tension in the body. So it's really important to do that shadow work and, yes, do that. It will help you become unblocked because it's actually part of the spiritual path to feel the blockages and to feel stalled. And when you're feeling that stall, that is when it's time to do some more inner work. And the last question to ask is, what am I resisting in my spiritual path? So, resistance often points to the very next step you need to take. So, what are you resisting? Where do you feel the tension? Where are you feeling reluctant? Uh, you may be feeling reluctant to do magic because you're worried about the evil spirits, attracting evil spirits. Well, what is it that's scaring you in regards to the evil spirits? What do you need to know, learn, and do to feel more confident with that? Do you need to know more about protection magic, building a circle, creating a solid circle? Do you need more confidence in yourself to know that if a spirit does come along, you're able to be strong and stand up against it? So what is it that's holding you back, and what can you do to amend that aspect? So it could just be a knowledge thing where you don't know how to protect yourself, or it could just be that you're not trusting yourself to be strong enough to be able to deal with anything that might come your way. It doesn't happen that often. I have not experienced evil spirits coming in when I've been doing magic or anything. I do always make sure that the space is clear and clean, and also that the space that you're doing the magic in is always clear and clean anyway. So whether that's putting particular gemstones around to help clear the space, whether it's clearing it regularly or just clearing it when you're working with it, is important for that space to be clean energetically all of the time. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going back to the comments. Can you tell us what fulfillment you have received from witchcraft? I have received a sense of connection to who I am and to spirit and to a bigger, that there's something more to life than just the stuff we've been told, that we have that autonomy to create what we want to create. So I found witchcraft to be particularly empowering in that regard. I have found it to be a sense of coming home. So it's a home feeling that this is where I've always been and this is who I am deep down inside. Um, so that's fulfilling in and of itself. And the more I've worked, more shadow work that I've done, the more these feelings have become stronger. And it's also the sense that you're working with the elements, you're working with nature, you're working with angels and spirits and gods and goddesses. So it's also a feeling you're not alone in the world, that there's other beings there too. So there's a sense of connection to other and connection to our own power. That's like how I would answer that that question. Um, Does the Ouija board speak to you? It's not the Ouija board that's speaking to you, it's that um, you're channeling, and the Ouija board is just a tool for the channeling. So, often things are spelt out, or there's yes and no, or maybe, and when you hold the glass or whatever it is that you're using, uh, it will move. But often that movement is actually something that's coming through you that you're either channeling, because you're actually touching the glass. You're not physically moving it, as in I'm going to move that over there. It sort of move. It's like there's a desire for it to move on its own. Some people have experienced where it has actually moved on its own when they haven't been touching it. So there can also be spirit forces that move it as well. Spirits that can move things are pretty strong spirits because it's not easy to do that from that realm. Shadow work has helped me on many levels. Awesome. I'm so glad. I'm so glad it's helped you. What do you recommend when you're low on energy? Depends what the cause of the low energy is. So there can be a number of different things. It could be, again, it could be nutrition. So, and look, a lot of people are different when it comes to uh, nutrition. So you really do have to do your own research, find out what works for you, what doesn't work for you. Um, when it comes to that. So don't necessarily buy into the trends or buy into what other people tell you. You should and shouldn't be. You can try what other people tell you just to see if it works for you, for sure. Go in and try a few things, but it could definitely be that because we don't have healthy diets anymore in the West. We all this processed food, the seed oils, um, the sugar, the carbohydrates, we're just eating way too many of all of that crap, and it's not good for our bodies. We were not designed to have a diet like that. We weren't designed to eat things out of packets and plastic bags at all. So, yeah, have a look at trying to get more back to nature and whole foods, food that nature has actually provided, food that our ancestors ate, whatever your ancestors were, whoever they were, wherever they lived. Of course, it's different all around the world too. Some people find it easier to digest certain food groups because of their ethnicity, because that food group has been in that culture for hundreds of thousands of years. Whereas in other cultures, it's very new. So it's looking at your ancestors and what did your ancestors eat? Because that's probably the healthiest thing for you to eat, to be honest. Whatever your ancestors, like distant ancestors, were eating, what were they eating? How did they thrive? Because they were, otherwise you wouldn't be here. And yeah, go far back. Go back to the hunter-gatherer times. What were they eating? What were they doing? Because that's what kept us going for hundreds of thousands of years. But within your ethnicity. Okay. Shadow work has helped me on many levels. Awesome. So the low energy, yes, look at what you're eating, what you're not eating, what you're eating too much of. Also, look at where you're uh, putting your focus. That was the first one. Where are you putting your focus? Are you watching too much Netflix? Are you watching too much social media? Are you not actually just going, okay, I'm going to sit and do something that's actually going to help you in your practice, like meditation, that kind of thing? Will shadow work help increase one's psychic abilities so that one's spells begin to work better? Absolutely. And it's not so much the psychic abilities that you need to be concerned about. It's actually what's stopping you from getting your spells to work is actually what you believe about yourself and the world. That's what the shadow work will show you. It'll show you this belief is actually what's blocking your spell work, or these beliefs, and there may be more than one of them, that's blocking your spell work. So look at that and you'll learn how you're blocking yourself. You're most likely blocking your spell work because you're not being the person identity-wise that has what it is you're doing the spell work for. So if you're doing a love spell, for example, because you'd love to have, a wonderful loving relationship, you're not being the person because you don't feel safe being the person who has that kind of relationship. The identity that you have now is one that you've built from childhood, that's probably the identity of I can't have love in my life. It's not for me. It never works out. uh, all of those beliefs because that's the identity. You have to step into a new identity of somebody who is lovable, of somebody who does have relationships that work out really, really well for them, of somebody who does have a healthy relationship, and start transforming your identity into that version of you because that version of you exists. It's just you're not allowing it to exist. Okay. So, where are we? Everybody's going with recipes here. Cheesy chips, liver stew. Not hungry anymore. Okay, so am I avoiding inner work was that question. So the last one is this one was we're talking about is what am I resisting? So what are you resisting in your spiritual path? What are you resisting? And you can close your eyes and just gently ask yourself, what am I avoiding that could actually help me grow? What are you avoiding that could actually help you grow? And it's probably something you're afraid of, or it doesn't feel safe in the current identity that you have now. So let me know if which one of those questions may have hit home to you today. Which one did got you really thinking about things? So the first one, I'll go back over the first one again. The first one was where am I focusing my energy? So this, are you chasing trends, practices because they might look spiritual or the latest thing? Maybe your energy's going towards what's going on in the world or what's going on in social media, all that kind of stuff. And that's actually sucking your energy. So just notice that. Are you concerned about other people's expectations? What are you concerning yourself with that maybe does not actually concern you? And a lot of the time, what's going on in the outside world from a magical perspective doesn't concern you because you're creating your own reality. The second question was, am I honoring my intuition? The third one was, what fears are holding me back? The fourth one was, am I avoiding inner work? And the fifth one was, what am I resisting in my spiritual path? So, asking those questions can help you get back on track. And when you find the answers to those questions, you'll know what's keeping you, what's holding you back, and what's keeping you stuck. Okay. Always coming second in a two-horse race. That's a belief that seems to be coming there. So, you have to become the person that comes first in the race. So, how do you become the person that comes first in the two-horse race? Become that person. What could you if you were the person who comes first, what would that feel like? And start feeling into that. Even if at first it feels uncomfortable, even if at first it feels like you're kidding yourself, even though at first it's like, "Who do I think I am?" Even if you're worried about what somebody's gonna think or say if they knew that you were thinking about that, think it anyway. What would it feel like for me to come first all the time? What would it be like to always be winning stuff? What would that feel like? And allow yourself to indulge in the feeling and the imagination of it. And if there's anything negative about that, if you feel unsettled in any way about thinking like that, then ask yourself, what am I telling myself about this? Am I telling myself that I'm not allowed to come first? That I should always come second because that's the caring thing to do and always let other people come first? Uh, am I doing it because I feel that, my family would object? That kind of thing. And then, that's where you need to do the release work and the shadow work on those beliefs. Okay. I never win, so I don't bother. So that's another belief. Yes. So what would it feel like to win? What would it feel like to win? And just allow yourself to imagine it. You're allowed to win. What if you're allowed to win? What if you're allowed to win? What if it's okay to win? What if people like you can win? So ask yourself those questions. What if someone like me can win? And just because I haven't won in the past doesn't mean that I have to keep not winning in the future. So ways of talking to yourself, change those. Okay. So for those of you who do want to take your witchcraft to the next level, you actually want to practice it, you want to feel confident in your practice. Maybe you're feeling stalled and you know that you need a bit of a kick to get you back into your practice again, or you just want to learn how to navigate your way through your practice. The Mystery Witch School 101 Academy is there for you. It is an evergreen program, so you can enter at any time. And what it does is it gives you that beginner-friendly step-by-step process to be able to do spells, do rituals without the overwhelm. So you're learning about energy work, you're learning about working with deities, you're learning to build circles, safely do magic, safely work with gods and goddesses so that you're having a practice that actually helps you feel connected to who and what you are. And build that confidence in your spell casting, build that confidence in your magic that you may not be feeling when you're trying to do it all alone. There's also an aspect of personal growth and self-development in the academy course too, because that's a really important part of being a witch. So there's some self-exploration in there too. And of course, you've got a supportive community and you've also got mentorship too. So if you have any questions or anything, you can ask me. And you can also get together with the community once a month over our Zooms, where we do a new moon rite and we also do guided meditations and sometimes other things in that time so that we're communicating with each other and actually connecting face to face with each other. And discover more about who you are as a witch. Step into your inner witch. So that's the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy. There is a link in the description field below this video, and I'm also going to put it in the chat as well. It's also on my website, mysterywitchschool.com. Okay. Jake Dog says, I was watching The Good Witch show yesterday. The witch in the show was always confident and positive and smart. Yes, I've watched a couple of episodes of that, and yeah, she's completely confident. And although it might be a bit cheesy, the actual show, it does show that confidence and just that knowing that yeah, I can fix that. Yeah, that's not a problem, and that's what you want to build yourself up to being like that. So, a couple of questions. How do I know if I'm on the right spiritual path? So, people often wonder if their practices or beliefs are correct or if they're doing it wrong. If it's a path with heart, if it's a path that makes you feel like you've come home to something, then it's the right path for you. The other question is, how long does it take to feel progress on the journey? Sometimes people want like a timeline or reassurance. Look, this is something that just takes its time. Your progress along your spiritual journey is going to be ongoing for probably lifetimes. So enjoy the journey and allow for those times when you do have some stagnation because it's perfectly normal to have that. So don't feel like it's got to be constantly gain, 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 gain all the time. That's just not how anything in life works, including the spiritual progress. Can I feel stuck even if I meditate or practice magic regularly? Absolutely. You can be doing all of the right things in bunny ears, but still feel blocked. And sometimes it might mean that you need to change it up a bit. You might just need to change what you're doing and do a different type of meditation or a different type of practice or something like that. It could just mean that you need to shift in some way. Are there rituals or tools that can help you get unstuck? So that's where those questions come in. If you find that it's psychological blocks, maybe doing some EFT, emotional freedom technique, or trying some LNP tricks can also help with that. And you can do an unblocking ritual. So, like you would any kind of obstacle removal, right? You can do that also to help with any sense of being stalled in your practice as well. And how do I handle external influences that seem to be keeping you stuck? So that could be, family pressure, friends, skeptics, social expectations, what you might be concerned about what's going on in the political environment, for example. What that is really about is to ask yourself what is important to you. Is there a way that you can not let those things take your energy? Are there places within all of these things that you're giving too much of your energy to? Give everything its due is something that the mystics advise. You give everything its due. What is its due? You don't want to go over with due. Uh, all the news media, social media, they're pulling you here, there, and everywhere. You've got uh, a lot of stuff taking your energy from you. And even though you may be greatly concerned about what is going on in the local environment because it seems dangerous, you still need to take your step back and detach and realize that you just need to know what's going on. You don't need to be constantly gorging in it all of the time. Okay, so that is that for this week. Thank you all for coming to both live streams, and I will see you next week for another live. And I'll try not to hit the microphone so it doesn't stuff up the sound again. So, thank you, everybody, and blessed be, and we'll see you next week.